Hi everyone, and welcome back to the fourth and last module. This video will cover the topic of communication, and we will talk specifically about the significance of how you communicate as the third and final element of a successful job search. Let's start by talking about the concept of self-promotion in the US. In America, self-promotion is talking about yourself through the lens of achievement and professional accomplishments. There is, of course, a fine balance, even in American culture, between arrogance and self-promotion, and there's a zone of appropriateness that you need to find. It's a delicate balance, and this is one of the activities that we'll actually be practicing during the live session. The whole hour will go towards implementing strategies and getting you to feel comfortable articulating and talking about yourself through the lens of achievement so that the employer can recognize the value that you can bring to their organization. Another way that we're going to reframe your thinking about self promotion is to really think of it as a concept of personal branding, and we'll practice some strategies of how to rebrand and present yourself as a highly contributing member to a team, somebody with a high level of expertise, and somebody who can really make a difference and help the company make a difference. Just to highlight once again that during the in-person portion of the workshop, we will practice talking about your achievements through the lens of self-promotion and talk specifically about strategies for getting you to be comfortable with this important concept, cultural norm, and professional expectation. The topic of communication will surface throughout all of the different stages of the job search process. This is why it's important to stress both written and oral communication. Written communication will, of course, is especially important in your job documents where you are building a persuasive argument using writing, right? Using tactics that we can talk during one-on-one advising appointments, or you can also join us for the resume writing workshop that's coming up in February. And then, of course, also the oral communication piece that we talked about during the networking portion or the networking module. And then the oral communication comes into play during the interview process, where you are building on the argument that you started with your cover letter, your resume, and now you're given an opportunity to make that argument even stronger, more vivid, give them more examples, bring in relevant past experience, talk about the value that you're going to be bringing to their team, their organization. And we, of course, want to spend some time reflecting on what that value is that you are going to be articulating to the hiring committee or the hiring manager. For example, your value can be based on your expertise and the technical skills that you bring to the position. It could be based around your international experience and having the ability to manage culturally diverse teams and lead some equity and diversity initiatives within the company. And of course, your high level of cultural competence, which will make you a great team member who can understand people that come from diverse backgrounds. The thing to remember is that when you're on the job search, thinking about how you perform is just as important as the qualifications that you bring to the job search. Hence, successful performance is successful communication on the job market. Because if you're not able to articulate your value, your contributions, the way that you are leveraging your academic and professional experience that might not first look relevant, but you have constructed a very clear and succinct argument and showing the employer how those things do relate, how that experience has made you a great fit for the position. In America, There's some key characteristics for successful communication. Those are being confident, staying positive and energetic, which make you and feed into the theme of persuasiveness. And of course, if you're demonstrating all of these characteristics, the way that the hiring committee or the hiring manager looks at you shows them just how committed, excited, enthusiastic you are to join their organization and help them achieve the mission of the organization. Therefore, if you are sure to allocate some time on your calendar to practice oral and written communication, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for professional success post-graduation. As an international candidate, you are also reassuring the employer that you won't have any issues communicating with your team members, with the manager. You won't have issues understanding where the priorities are. And you're really demonstrating your ability to fit into the company culture, the team dynamic, and be able to communicate effectively. As an international applicant, there are some additional things that you need to consider as you're navigating the job search process. You want to make sure that you are informed and plan accordingly to the deadlines and timeline that is impacted by your status as an international applicant. Many of you might be in an F1 or a J1, and all of those things mean different expectations. And I encourage you to start educating yourself on those policies, those expectations. And you can find all of the relevant information on the Texas Global website, as well as look at their work authorization video that I have linked on the slides. This is me encouraging you to start processing this data gradually so that when it comes time to articulating to an employer, you are able to do it effectively and efficiently and automatically reassure them that you can help them walk through the process, that it's going to be a easy transition. It's going to be an easy onboarding process. You know how to navigate. And ultimately, what you're showing the employer is that you're informed, you're the expert in the room. You can work with their legal team if they have an immigration legal team to get all of the paperwork done. But you are the person who will lead the effort and take the ownership over that responsibility. I think it's important to recognize the extra things that you're responsible for as an international applicant, sort of ahead of time so that you have time to prepare, so that you're not doing all of these things simultaneously. So I encourage you to kind of start thinking about it as you're planning to enter the job search or the job market in the next, whenever it is the timeline for you. So we have come to an end of our presentation. The three key elements to success for a job search that we covered are research that involved doing job description analysis, using InnerStride to make a curated list of companies that value hiring international talent, figure out what the priorities of the field are by having conversations with individuals that you find on LinkedIn that you can connect with. We talked about networking and creating professional relationships and advocates, people that can vouch for you within those organizations, and the connections that you're making within those organizations as well. And then lastly, we talked about communication, where we stressed the role of self-promotion, and we'll do that more in the in-person section. Confidence, being persuasive, and being able to build a narrative or tell a story that shows the employer what your value is, what your strengths are, what your areas of growth might be, and how you have grown and learned from other professional experiences. And then we talked about how important it is to use your ability to communicate, to demonstrate your ability to easily fit into the company culture and the American work dynamic. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the in person session.